The Rams, unfortunately are 0-6 against the spread when playing the Packers in the last 6 matchups. Now, some of the key factors, Vince, I know that we're going to talk about are one is major. One major one is Jared Goff. He's going to have to play with an injured thumb, and so actually, why don't we just start off like what do you think the biggest factors in this game are?
Yeah, so excuse me, the key factors. I think one, the line is correct, and I think you hammer this line, if you will. This is the lock of the week. I would just hammer this line -6.5 Packers all day. I don't see the Rams even being competitive in this. I think the Rams lose by 10 and 14. And the reason I'm saying that is I think you have in the last game when they played against Seattle and they won that game, certainly that's an in-division battle, right? They're familiar with one another. They played one another. This is where, they're playing the Packers, as you just stated, right? They're 0-6 against the spread against the Packers. I don't believe they're playing the Packers every year, right? And this is a different Aaron Rodgers this year. So first and foremost, you have a different Aaron Rodgers who's on an MVP track, throwing just absolutely lights out. I think a 45-3 TD to INT ratio, which is just absolutely insane. And then you have Goff, right? So Goff came in I believe, the second half or second quarter of the last game where Wolford hurt his neck out for the rest of the game. Goff had to come in after that surgically repaired thumb was fixed. Now going to, the frozen tundra, Lambeau Field, and playing against the Packers there, it could potentially be snowing. It's going to be cold, right? This is going to be a game that's going to be very cold, I would think, at least in wind chill. So with his thumb being surgically repaired, being ready to throw, right? Let's see how he adapts, with that. I think some of the other ones are really on the defensive ends, and pertaining particularly to the Rams. But I know, Josh, you have something you want to talk about in regards to the Rams defense.
Yeah, so the Rams defense are ranked number 1 overall, and let me show you this visual here. In the regular season, they are number 1 in total defense. Can you see the screen, by the way?
Yep.
All right. They're number 1 in total defense. They're number 1 in passing defense, and they're number 1 in scoring defense. Now, the interesting thing to me in this is that they're number 1 in scoring defense at 18.5 points per game allowed in the regular season. But if you look over the past 5 outings, they've actually decreased that number to just 14.6 points allowed per game. Now, with the game being in Green Bay and the temperature is dropping below freezing. I think the forecast is the forecast is going to be around 29 degrees to 30 degrees. I think this becomes a defensive matchup. Well, and if it does, you have to. I'm still up in the air on who to give the edge to, because the Rams defense is so good. However, here's another factor that I want to throw up is that Aaron Rodgers' record when the temperature drops below freezing is absurd. Is just absurd. Now, 1 second. Let me bring this up here. All right. So Aaron Rodgers' stats when the temperature drops below 0, he's got a 28-6 record. And all these other stats are insane, but like what let me just read this little tidbit off. His 28-6 record only tells you a part of the story, because in those 34 games where the average temperatures are around 23 degrees, he throws 76 touchdowns and only has 13 interceptions. That's an average of more than 2 touchdowns and less than 1 interception per game, while also averaging nearly 263 passing yards. But the most impressive stat, in my opinion, is that in those 28 games, the Packers outscore their opponents by an average of 15.5 points, scoring nearly 30 points per game.
I think this tallies right up to like Bane and Batman, right? I was born in the darkness, but you simply adopted it. It's basically that, right?
Yeah.
That's where he lives. That's where he is. That's where he's played. He's had a lot of games there. He's used to the cold. You're having a team come from LA, Los Angeles, the beach, the sun, to play in 23-degree game. Okay. I mean, like, to me, this is not going to be a close game at all. I think just the couple matchups when thinking about that, right? We talked about Aaron Rodgers lights out. I think you detailed that, Josh. He's my MVP this year. I don't think it's very close. He's just been unbelievable in year 2 with Matt LaFleur. The out of division piece where it could potentially snow, or it's going to have this cold, like you talked about, 23 degrees. You're having the team that plays, in warmer climates, right, come over. I think that's a big issue. I think, the issue with the hand that I detailed earlier. But then the one thing that I think where, if the contrarian goes, hey, here, here's where I think the Rams could work, right? Here's where, if you were to take the Rams, if you're saying, hey, Rams +7, this is your argument. Right. Your argument is you have Jalen Ramsey on Devontae Adams, right? So Jalen Ramsey has been shutting down DK Metcalf. Obviously, Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in football today, but you have that matchup, right? You have the ability for Jalen Ramsey on an island to match up with Devontae Adams, so they're not having, say, safety coverage. You can now have shadow coverage by Jalen. So that's 1+ for the Rams. And we'll see how that goes. The other piece is, David Bakhtiari, right? Best offensive tackle in football. One of the best pass blockers, best run blockers, the blind side of Aaron Rodgers. He's out for the year now, right? Torn ACL. How do the Packers fill that void, right? Do they fill that void with simply just a tackle and see if that tackle can take on what David did? Probably not a good idea. Do they stack a tight end up there? So now you have more people blocking in, but then what do you do with Aaron Donald, right? Aaron Donald's in the middle. You have to double team him. So that's the interesting play I see, right? Can they get pass rush off the edge, and can Aaron Donald push the middle up into Aaron Rodgers' face where the pass rush off the edge where David Bakhtiari is no longer blocking? Can that get home to Aaron Rodgers with Jalen Ramsey covering his number one target? So if I'm a Rams fan, or if I'm betting Rams, that's the philosophy I'm looking at. I think for the Packers to win this game, Robert Tonyan, their tight end, has to have a huge game, and they got to run the hell out of the ball with Aaron Jones and really take the pass rush away from the Rams to really just run this up the gut. I think they're going to be able to do it. Like I already said, lock of the week. I think they win by 12-14.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's just got to be too many things that go right for LA for them to close this 6.5 point spread. I think the whole David Bakhtiari situation is what kind of closed the gap by a 0.5 point, but still Aaron Rodgers, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants people in Green Bay to put his name above, the great number 4 and Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
And I really wish I knew how to pronounce that in its native tongue. What is it?
Yeah. It is Favre, but when he was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, the commissioner at that time said Brett Favre.
Oh, he did. That's funny.
It just forever lasted.
Yeah. So I just think that there's too many things that have to go right for LA, and this game being at home in Green Bay, I just don't think they have a shot. I'm going to take Green Bay with the spread at -6.5.
There we go. And just the last piece, and we talked about it. Quarterback is it's just so necessary. You just have to have great quarterback play in the playoffs. Yeah. You cannot have any questions. And like we talked about, right? There's just too many questions for the Rams at quarterback. And they're even talking about Warford coming back and potentially playing. And holy hell. I mean, Rodgers versus Goff. I'm on Rodgers' side. Rodgers versus Warford. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
So I think that alone tells us. So at least I'm glad we're in agreement on the I believe it's now -6.5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I actually did put money on that, so I'm a betting man.
All right. So it's on the books and on film. So again, for our 2 viewers, we will be coming back next week to review the game and make fun of each other if we're wrong, which we probably will be. Yeah. So